If you've been researching your Maldives trip, you've probably come across the word IMUGA at some point. And perhaps you've thought, what is that? Do I really need to do it? And when exactly do I need to do it by? The good news is that the Maldives has one of the simplest entry systems in the world. No visa application before you travel, no queuing at an embassy, no complicated paperwork. But there is one thing that you need to do before you fly, and that's the IMUGA Traveller Declaration Form. And there are a few things about it that are worth knowing before you sit down and fill it in. I'm Becky Lydia, and this is Maldives Guide. This video is split into two parts. One part is for everyone. I'm going to walk you through the IMUGA declaration form step by step so you know exactly what to expect and how to complete it correctly before you travel. Part two is for a smaller group, it's slightly niche, those of you planning to stay in the Maldives for more than 30 days and who need to understand how the tourist visa extension process works, including, I should say, some first-hand experience of navigating it ourselves. If you only need part one, great. Everything you need is in the first half of this video. The chapters are in the description, so you can jump to exactly what you need. So, the IMUGA Traveller Declaration Form. Let's start with the basics. What actually is IMUGA and why do you need to complete it? IMUGA is the Maldives government's online travel portal. Think of it as their version of the passenger locator forms or electronic travel authorizations you might have filled out for other countries. Except in the Maldives, it's completely free and relatively straightforward. The form contains the Traveller Declaration, records your travel details, your accommodation, and some basic health information. It helps the Maldivian authorities streamline the arrival process and manage visitor records. The important thing to know is this: it must be completed within 96 hours before your scheduled arrival in the Maldives. That's a 4-day window, not before that, and ideally not left until the very last minute at the airport. Most airlines will ask you to show proof of completion during check-in, so it's always best to have it done before you leave home. And yes, I do have personal experience of filling it out at the airport. A few too many times. I don't care to admit how many. The form is completely free, and this is the website. I'll put a direct link in the description below. Make sure you use that website. It does say .mv at the end. Other websites that don't have that are not the official IMUGA form, and they probably will ask you for payment. This is a completely free service, so don't get caught out. Right, let's go through the form itself. I'm going to walk you through each section so you know exactly what's coming. So step one is to go to imuga.immigration.gov.mv and scroll down to where you'll see the option to submit a new traveller declaration. Obviously, I'm doing this on a computer, but it is easy enough to do on a tablet or phone also. You may see the option to upload a copy of your passport. This will just enter your details more quickly, such as name, date of birth, passport number, etc. You can just skip this and type it in yourself, but as you need to complete this for each person travelling, including children, it may save a little bit of time. This next page will ask you the reason for your visit, and you click on holiday, leisure and vacations related travel and click next. Step 3, personal and passport details. So this section asks for your full name exactly as it appears on your passport, your nationality, your passport number and its expiry date, standard stuff. Just make sure it matches your passport precisely. These things will be automatically entered if you've used the passport upload option, but do still double check it as any discrepancy can cause issues at the border. It does ask for a photo. Now, every time I've done this form, the photo has not been mandatory. However, this may change in the future, so it's always worth keeping a passport style photo on your phone to upload if necessary. Step 4, go on to the next page where you'll enter your flight details. It'll ask you for your country of origin. I live in Thailand, so that's usually where I'm flying from, and your port of entry will be Valana International Airport. The date for your arrival will be below as long as you're in the correct time frame. This is just an example one, and these are the dates I'm recording the video, so I'll just choose one. Let's go tomorrow. You add in your flight details and duration of your stay, and then your accommodation info. For most visitors, this means your resort name or guest house. If you're staying at multiple places during your trip, you can just click on multiple options and they will highlight. Your accommodation might be obvious, but it might have a different name entirely. For example, this one here, Anugandu Island Resort, is the company name for Oblu Elefushi and Lobigili Islands in North Male, so it's not so obvious. But they do tell you multiple times when you book. This list includes every accommodation that is legally operational, and there are over 1,000, so use the search function. I'll add my favourite resort. I can pretend like I'm going there tomorrow in my dreams. Again, the port of departure will be Valana International Airport, and you need to enter your departure date and select your destination. Either country of origin or onward travel destination. Step 5. Next, there is a short health declaration section asking about yellow fever. This is standard across most international travel forms, and if you're not traveling from a yellow fever endemic country, then just click no. Answer honestly though, and obtain the vaccine and certificate if you are coming from one of the listed countries, or else you will be turned away upon arrival in Maldives. The last section is the customs declaration. Since you are completing this form for each passport holder, enter the amount of checked bags per person and not your entire group. There is an option for 0 if you are just taking hand luggage, or only 1 between multiple people. There are prohibited items in the Maldives. The one that catches out most people is alcohol. If you're carrying alcohol, it will be confiscated and returned to you when you leave the country. Alcohol is only allowed on resort islands or on offshore boats. No tourist is allowed to bring alcohol into the country though. It's best just to declare this and be honest if you happen to have grabbed some duty-free alcohol on the way out. You can then submit your declaration. I won't show you that part, as sadly I'm not actually going to the Maldives tomorrow, but once submitted you'll receive a confirmation to your email, either a QR code or a reference number. Save this, screenshot it. You may be asked to show it at check-in and potentially at immigration on arrival. This has actually never happened to us, as it is linked to your passport, but be prepared just in case. You're more commonly asked to show it at the airport before boarding your plane these days, so definitely make sure it's done before you get your flight. And that's it. The whole process typically takes about 10 to 15 minutes if you have your passport and booking information to hand. It's genuinely one of the simpler pre-travel forms I've come across, but do remember that you have to do it for each person in your party, and that includes a separate one for each child. For a full overview of everything you need to do before you travel, including transfers, packing, and what to expect on arrival, my complete guide is linked below. Now that we've covered the form, let's quickly cover the visa itself, because a lot of people aren't sure how it actually works. The Maldives grants a free 30-day tourist visa to almost all nationalities on arrival. You don't need to apply in advance, you don't need to visit an embassy. You arrive, your IMUGA form has been submitted, and you receive your visa stamp at immigration. There are just 3 things that you need to have in place. Firstly, your completed traveller declaration form, which we've just covered, proof of onward travel, your return flight booking or a confirmed flight out of the Maldives. One-way tickets will raise questions at immigration, so make sure you have something booked. And thirdly, confirmed accommodation for your stay, so your resort or guest house booking. Immigration officials can ask for additional information if they choose to, and technically a visa is not guaranteed, but for the overwhelming majority of tourists, the process is quick, smooth, and completely uneventful. The only question we've ever had was when our onward flight was over 30 days away, and that was simply because we were applying for a visa extension. We explained that and they let us through. It was fine. So this is the end of part 1. That's everything you need to know for a standard Maldives trip: the IMUGA form, the visa on arrival, and what to expect when you land. If that's all you need, brilliant. You're ready. Everything I've covered is linked in the description below, including a direct link to the IMUGA portal. But if you're planning to stay in the Maldives for more than 30 days, then keep watching. because the visa extension process is a different story entirely, and it's genuinely more complicated than the official website suggests. I know this because we've been through it ourselves. So the standard tourist visa gives you 30 days. For most visitors, that's more than enough. But for those of you planning a longer stay, whether it's an extended holiday, a slow travel trip through multiple islands, or simply wanting more time in one of the most beautiful places on earth, it is possible to extend your visa by up to a further 60 days, giving you a maximum of 90 days in total. After 90 days, you must leave the Maldives. Now, the official Maldives immigration website makes this sound reasonably straightforward. I want to be honest with you, it isn't always. The process varies significantly depending on your situation, and if you're island hopping, so staying at multiple places, it becomes considerably more complex. One thing is non-negotiable: start the process early. The extension can take a couple of weeks from start to finish, and the penalty for overstaying your visa is $1,000 per day. Do not leave it until day 25 and assume it will be fine. It won't be. We started the whole process on about day 6, I think, and it was sorted in about 10 days. That was a lot of back and forth with immigration over who was going to sponsor us because we were island hopping at the time, but we'll get to that in a minute. So there are 3 main scenarios for an extension visa, and they're quite different from each other. Scenario 1 is staying at one resort for your entire extended stay. This is the simplest case. Most established resorts have dealt with this before, even if it only comes up once or twice a year. The resort acts as your visa sponsor and typically handles the entire process on your behalf. You won't usually need to visit Male in person, and the visa fee will be added to your final bill. If this is your situation, speak to your resort as early as possible after arrival. Don't wait until week 3. Scenario 2 is staying at one guest house for your entire extended stay. The guest house operator will act as your sponsor, but you'll generally need to do considerably more of the legwork yourself. Expect to visit Male 2 or 3 times to complete the process. Once to submit documents, and again to drop off and collect your passport. Now, of course, your guest house may be willing to send someone in order to do that for you, but I can't guarantee that. However, with a resort, it's almost guaranteed that you'd be able to pay for that service. Scenario 3, island hopping, so staying in multiple places during your extended stay. And this is where the confusion started for us, because we were visiting around 12 different resorts. Who was supposed to be our sponsor? How were we supposed to figure this out? And some of the resorts had no idea about this. Some of them had never done it, and a lot of them haven't done it since COVID times. So it was really difficult to find anybody who understood. And even when we called immigration, they weren't very clear about it either. What I can tell you from our experience is this: most resorts do not know what to do in this situation. Even immigration itself has struggled to give consistent answers. But we did get to the bottom of this. Your sponsor will be whichever resort or guest house you're staying at on day 29 of your visa. You'll need to have paid for that stay in full, potentially earlier than the accommodation would normally require, and you'll need to arrange for your physical passport to be submitted to the immigration office in Male and collected again on a separate day. If you're planning to island hop and extend your visa, my strong advice is to discuss this with your intended accommodation providers before you book, not after. A larger resort chain with an office in Male will be far better equipped to handle this than a small independent guest house. And it's worth considering the alternative, leaving the Maldives briefly and returning. Sri Lanka is an hour and a half away and is a wonderful destination in its own right. Depending on your situation, a short trip out and back in might actually be simpler than navigating the extension process. So now let's actually go through the requirements, because this is where a lot of people get caught out. The key document is a form called IM23. You can download this from the Maldives immigration website, and I will link that directly below. IM23 requires your personal details, a section completed by your sponsor, your current 30-day visa number, which you'll find stamped in your passport. It's the letters and numbers around the border of the stamp, and a current passport style photograph. And now, about a week in, we were at a resort and we simply went and asked the photographer at the resort to come and take our visa photos. He was more than capable. He knew exactly what was required. They were normal passport style photos, you know, not smiling, blank background and everything like that. He had all the equipment, he was able to do it and submit those photos for us. The important thing to adhere to for these photos is you must cover up. No bare shoulders, and that goes for men as well. Wearing a t-shirt or a shirt is absolutely fine, but women must cover their shoulders and their chest as well. If you don't, then the photos may be rejected. So if you already have a passport style photo that you've brought with you, make sure that it has those requirements as well as the normal passport requirements for your country. In addition to the IM23, you'll need an invoice for your accommodation stay with proof that it has been paid, a confirmed booking for your travel out of the Maldives, your physical passport, which will be surrendered to the immigration office for a period while the extension is processed, and payment of the visa extension fee, which was about $50 per person when we last did it back in 2024. So how to submit your extension application. There are two ways to submit your application: online through the IMUGA portal, or in person at the immigration office in Male. Online submission through IMUGA is generally the better option if you can manage it. From the portal, start a new visa application and select Tourist Visa IM23 as the category. You'll upload your completed form, your accommodation invoice, your return flight booking, and pay the fee. One important practical note: the IMUGA portal requires a local Maldivian phone number to receive the verification code during submission. International numbers can be entered, but don't work for this purpose. So if you are submitting it yourself rather than through your resort, you'll need to arrange a local SIM, which you can get at the airport in Male, or you can get an eSIM. If your application is approved online, you'll be given an appointment to submit your passport, which is much better than just turning up in person and queuing for one of the limited day tickets. If submitting in person, arrive early. There are only a limited number of tickets issued each day, and if you arrive late, you may not be seen. Either way, once your extension is approved, your physical passport must be submitted to the immigration office and collected at a later date. Your resort may be able to handle this for you if you're staying with them. When you get your passport back, you'll find a full-page sticker inside looking like this. It's like a second data page confirming your extended visa. And at that point, you're official, you can stay. Congratulations. So the first time we did this, we had no idea of the process. We turned up knowing that we needed to start the process early, and that was about it. We had planned for the resorts that we were staying at around 30 days to be near Male, just in case we had to go there. On our 29th day, we were moving to an island called Naladu, which is run by Anantara. So we contacted the manager there, and she was able to sort it all out for us along with the general manager, and they were brilliant at helping us. They knew exactly what they were doing. Luckily for us, about a week after we started this process, we were visiting Anantara Kihava. So because they were the same company, Kihava managed to take our passports and submit everything on our behalf, and then they picked them up a few days later and were able to give them back to us. So the whole process was done very, very quickly. So to bring this all together, for the vast majority of visitors, the Maldives visa process is genuinely one of the simplest in the world. Complete your IMUGA form in the 96-hour window before you fly, have your return ticket and accommodation booking ready, and you'll be through immigration in minutes. For those staying beyond 30 days, start early. Choose your accommodation carefully and don't underestimate the complexity of the process, particularly if you're island hopping. All the links I've mentioned, the IMUGA portal, the IM23 form, and the immigration website are in the description below. Make sure you get the right links. If this has been helpful, please do give it a like and subscribe to Maldives Guide if you haven't already. Every video on this channel is designed to make planning your Maldives trip as clear and straightforward as possible. I'm Becky Lydia, and I'll see you in the next one.